Cats, it's me. Excuse me. So sorry I am running late. I was actually watching one of my favorite YouTubers. Okay. So sorry. Okay. So tonight we are reading The Wind and the Willows, and we are picking up where we left off on page 63. Okay. Let me just get where I can see really quick. And they don't bother about the future, either the future when perhaps the people will move in again for a time as may very well be. The wildwood is pretty well populated by now, with the usual lot, good, bad, and indifferent. I name no names. It takes all sorts to make a world, but I fancy you know something about them yourself by this time. I do indeed, said the mole, with a slight shiver. I do indeed, said the mole with a slight shiver. Well, well, said the badger, putting him on the shoulder. It was your first experience of them, you see. They're not so bad, really, and we must all live and let live. But I'll pass the word around tomorrow, and I think you'll have no further trouble. Any friend of mine walks where he likes in this country, or I'll know the reason why. When they got back to the kitchen again, they found the rat walking up and down, very restless. The underground atmosphere was oppressing him and getting on his nerves, and he seemed really to be afraid that the river would run away if he wasn't there to look after it. So he had his overcoat on, his pistols thrust into his belt again. Come along, Mole, he said anxiously as he caught sight of them. We must get off a while. It's daylight. Don't want to spend another night in the wildwood again. It'll be all right, my fine fellow, said the otter. I'm coming along with you, and I know every path blindfold. And if there's a head that needs to be punched, you can confidently rely that on me to punch it. You really needn't fret, Ratty, added Badger placidly. My passages run further than you think. I've got bolt holes too. Just one second. The edge of the wood in several directions. Though I don't care for everybody to know about them, when you really have to go, you shall leave by one of my shortcuts. Meantime, make yourself easy and sit down again. The rat, nevertheless, anxious to be off and ascend his river, so the badger, taking up his lantern again, led the way along the damp and airless tunnel that wound and dipped part, vaulted part, and drew solid rock for a weary distance that seemed to be miles. As daylight began to show itself confusedly through tangled growths overhanging the mouth of the passage, and the badger, bidding them hastily goodbye, pushed them hurriedly through the opening, made everything look as natural as possible. Again with the creepers, the brushwood and the dead leaves and retreated. They found themselves standing on the very edge of the wild wood. Rocks and brambles, tree roots behind them, confusedly heaped and tangled in front. A great space of quiet fields, hemmed by the lines of the edges, black on the snow, and far ahead a glint of familiar old river, while the wintry sun hung red and low on the horizon. The otter, as knowing all the paths, took charge of the party. They trailed out on a beeline for a distant stop. Pausing there for a moment, looking back, they saw the whole mass of the wild wood. Dense, menacing, compact, grimly set in a vast white surrounding. Simultaneously, they turned and made swiftly for home, for a fright the familiar things that played on, for the voice sounding cheerfully outside their window on the river they knew and trusted in all its moods, that never made them afraid with any amazement. As he hurried along, eagerly anticipating the moment when he would be at home again among the things he knew and liked, the mole saw clearly that he was an animal of tilled field and a hedgerow, linked to the plowed furrow, the frequented pasture lane of evening lingerings, the cultivated garden plot. For others, the aspirators, the stubborn endurance, or the clash of the actual conflict that went with nature in the rough. He must be wise, must be keep pleasant places in which his lines were laid, which he held adventure enough in their way for the time at to last a lifetime. Just gonna grab water really quick. Dolce Donut. The sheep ran huddling together against the huddlers, blowing out until the nostrils stamping with the delicate forefoot, their heads thrown back and light stream rising from the crowded sheep pen into the frosty air. As the two animals hastened by the spirits with much chatter and laughter, they were returning across the country after a long day's outing with the otter, hunting and exploring on the wide uplands where certain streams tributary to their own river had their first small beginnings, and the shades of the short winter day went, were closing in on them, and they still had some distance to go. Plodding at random across through the plow, they heard the sheep and made and had made them, and now leading from the sheep pen, they found a beaten track that made walking a lighter business, and responded moreover so that small inquiring something which all animals carry inside, saying unmistakably, "Yes, quite right. This leads home." "It looks as if we're coming to a village," said Mole, somewhat dubiously, slackening his pace as the track that in time became the path that had developed into a lane now handed them over to the charge of a well-metalled road. The animals did not hold with villages and their own highways, thickly frequented as they were to take independent course, regardless of church, post office, or a public house. All right, we're on page 67. I'm sorry for my tardiness. Anyways, you guys, tomorrow night